No problem. Call the Ripon City Council workshop to order. Tonight we're holding the first of three workshops on the North Point planning, specific plan. And so one of the things that we're hoping the council and the planning commissioners that are here tonight is to certainly hear from all of you in regards to your ideas and thoughts about the future of certainly this project. And so one of the things I'd at least ask you to do is this is a giving process. In other words, we're looking for input from all of you. And so from that vantage point, I know the project team will be listening very acutely, and I know they have indicated that even if we run past the time allotted, that they will be available in the back to listen to any other comments that you may have that maybe you weren't be able to make during the workshop itself. So, having said that, I introduce our planning director, Ken Zudevart, and Ken will introduce the project team.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone here to the first of several community workshops for the North Point specific plan. As the mayor mentioned, I am Ken Zudevart, the planning director for the city of Ripon. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to develop the policy direction and guiding principles for building a land use plan for the North Point specific plan. Earlier this year, the North Point Planning District was an area identified within the city that would benefit from more comprehensive planning to assist in transitioning from a traditional single-family neighborhood to planned commercial, professional, office, and mixed-use developments. Also earlier this year, the city received several development proposals within the North Point Planning District that were inconsistent with the city's current general plan for the area. As such, the North Point specific plan process was approved by the City Council in order to provide policy direction on how this area of the city, which has traditionally been set aside for only commercial and job growth uses, could be developed as a true mixed-use transitional zone that would support the community, the region, and the Mistland Sports Park. I believe the message here is that instead of the city just saying no to these development proposals, the city has agreed to take a better look at this area and their land uses to make sure that any future development within the North Point specific plan area falls within the city's objectives for an economically viable and sustainable community that meets Ripon's standards for quality of life. We've put together an excellent consulting team to unfold this process of a specific plan. We have Wayne Rasmussen, who is the founder of Rasmussen Planning Incorporated. Wayne holds a bachelor's degree in city and regional planning from Cal Poly and a master's degree in regional planning from Pennsylvania State University. Wayne also has spent many years in the professional planning field for cities and in the private industry and brings a vast amount of experience to the table. David Gates, co-founder of Gates & Associates. David holds a bachelor's degree in landscape architecture from UC Berkeley and a master's degree in urban design and landscape architecture from Harvard University. Linda Gates, co-founder also of Gates & Associates. Linda holds a bachelor's degree in landscape architecture from UC Berkeley. Both David and Linda have vast professional experience in the field and have owned and operated Gates & Associates since 1977 when it was founded. Gail Donaldson, a senior associate from Gates & Associates. Gail holds a master's degree in landscape architecture from UC Berkeley and also brings a whole host of professional experience to the process. Charlie Simpson, founder of Basecamp Environmental. Charlie holds a bachelor's degree in resource planning and interpretation from Humboldt State University. Charlie brings over 35 plus years of experience in environmental planning and was the environmental consultant responsible for the City of Ripon's latest general plan, EIR. I'd like to again thank you for attending the first workshop, and we look forward to everyone's input to help develop the policy direction and guidance for the building a land use plan for the North Point Planning District area that will serve our community well into the future. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Linda, who will be the facilitator of our meeting this evening.
All right. I'm Ralph Remersma, 801 Country Club Circle, Ripon, and I'd like to thank the council members and the commissioners for letting us voice our opinions. My family came here in the 50s, 54, moved to the Ripon area. We've been here a long time and grew up here. The old farmstead is where we grew up. Parents put a lot of effort into it, and so this is our our home there. And the Meadowview property owners have spent a lot of money trying to get together as a group, just a small group of the local people, trying to market this section of land so that we can, you know, get rid of it, or put it to some use. And across the street, is $600,000 homes that the Bay Area people come and buy, but my kids have to move to Turlock and elsewhere to buy a home that's affordable. So this high density or higher density use really fits in there. And as Mr. Gates mentioned, we want to try and connect the older city with that area. And as people drive up to the park, play soccer and so forth, it would look nice with some houses on that side instead of another strip mall or, another burger joint or something like that. It would look nice just flowing with the community, tying Ripon, is more of a bedroom community, and tying that together, and it would look nice along that Fulton corridor, and buffet also the heavy industry of the trucking on the other side. And so we felt this was a good plan, and we've worked hard to get it this far, so appreciate your looking at it that point of view. Thanks.
People who don't want to come up here but they want to talk, I'll bring the microphone to you. And if there's people who don't want to talk at all, there's comment cards that you can fill out and give your opinion. So if anybody's shy, we still want to hear from you. Is there anybody else who'd like to grab a microphone? All right, good. Well, that's good. But I want to make sure they're all
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Ray, and I'm here with my business partner, Vic Meyerhoff, and together we're the managing partners for the Ripon LLC. We own this parcel right here, kind of right in the middle of the project. And I got to say, I'm kind of a fish out of water here. Vic and I are the only kind of out of the area owners from Silicon Valley, and I came from an appointment. I'm not trying to dress up here, but that's living in a small town where I live in Los Gatos, same size community as this one. I'm in line to be on the Planning Commission in a couple of years, so I would say that I'm familiar with the politics, not of this town, but of small towns. And I echo all the sentiments of the other owners. We would love to sell our property. There are 14 of us little owners that own this little piece, and we've been trying to sell it for a couple of years, and Mid-Valley came along, and they've put together a wonderful project. So for us as absentee owners, it's the best thing we've seen in a long time. So all I ask really is that the process be fair and that it move along so that at least we can all move forward with this. I know you guys are busy and we're all busy, so that's what we ask. Thank you.
even say any little thing? Okay. All right, good. I gotta
more
take it.
questions. They talk, get a thing in the mail, and then we gotta
We'll let the planning commissioners go first.
I appreciate very much the fact that everybody who's spoken holds Rippon's best concerns as the highest standard that we can strive to achieve. Certainly, we've all moved to Ripon because of the quality of life and the town it is. And it is difficult with land use. I own properties here in Ripon, and I fall under some restrictions that I'm not as happy with as a landowner, but I abide by them. Some of the things that I've looked at, I was convinced when I moved to Ripon to raise my children. My oldest was just getting ready to start school. And I was convinced when I moved here that I found a wonderful town. And I realized that it was built by people who loved the city. And it was my responsibility, if I was going to be a citizen here, that I would have to be involved and do the best I could to continue what our forefathers and foremothers have put into this city. Some of the planning issues that I'm looking at, and my eyes are open because I haven't really seen this project before, but one of the things I love about what Ripon does is we tend to move affordable housing into nicer neighborhoods. So you'll have many more expensive homes, and then you'll have some more affordable homes, which is something that I find really desirable in a community. Oftentimes, when you put a lot of lower cost homes together, it's not just younger families that move in there. And I think it is important for us to have well-priced homes so that our children can move in there. But one of the concerns I have is it breaks with our pattern of taking and putting more affordable homes throughout the community. And now we're clumping a lot of it looks to me, and I haven't looked at this is the first time I've really looked at this book, but it looks like we are clumping a lot of narrower streets, smaller lots, and putting a lot of homes that are going to be very low cost in one region. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like 10 years down the road. So that's just one of the things that I would say is a concern. But what I really do value is everybody who's spoken has had Rippon's best interests at heart.
Any other commissioners?
Well, this is really the first time I've had a chance to look at this, and it's very extensive. It looks like we're gonna have to go through are we gonna have to rezone a lot of this, or is this already zoned to where it can accept all this residential building? I've been in Ripon for 25 years. I moved here from Modesto, and I've never looked back. Everything I've ever heard about Ripon is that it's the schools, excellent, the community churches, very, very varied, and I do business, most of my business out of town in the other surrounding towns, Newman, Gustine, Patterson, Sonora, Merced, and whenever they find out I'm from Ripon, they always say, gee, what a nice little town. So I have to assume that, you know, they've been here, they've heard nothing but nice things about it. Just echoing a little bit of what David said here is, it is quite a plan, and I would just have to look at it and make sure that it goes along with the way Ripon has been developed in the past. So I also thank you all for coming tonight.
Mr. Hawes?
Talk me into it, thanks. Hey, thanks again for everybody to be here tonight. Some great thoughts and plans, and I think, you know, once again, I'm a lifelong Ripon person also, and I do think this is a real special opportunity to look at the whole project as a whole. You know, we have a great park, have some great ideas for housing, and I think it's going to be a great process to go through as a group. Once again, this is the first time we've seen it, so it'd be great to go through this to see, but thank you again for all your feedback. And once again, we got a great chance to do something great around this whole park and build it for a great city that we have. So thank you for your time.
Commissioner Haida? You're good. Commissioner McCusker?
Mayor, I'm good. I apologize for missing the first half hour, but I'm fine.
Okay, good, thank you. City Council?
I would just like to remind everybody that we're here for the right reason, to open it up to the community, to realize what is out there and what is there to offer. I have my true beliefs on what should be there and what should not be there, but at this point in time, it's not that point and that's time for me to reveal that or to show that, because that's why we've hired these people, these experts, to come in and help us, hopefully, to do the right thing. And I'm hearing from, and I mean with all my heart, I respect everything that everybody said today, and I got your back on all that. I mean that with all my heart. But we're going through the process, and it's the right process in some people's mind, maybe not in all people's mind, because it does cost money. But these people, they're experts at what they do. And I will say, when this went down a few months ago, I wasn't a happy camper about it, but I was a happy camper about who we chose to do the job, to help us do the right thing. Hey, who knows where it's going to come out? I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. But God bless us, and God bless, I mean, what a bunch of wonderful people that I heard talk today that really care about this community. And I think that the people that are doing this today ultimately really care too, and it'll all be okay. And it'll all come out okay. And what I will say though, on that one side is, there's plenty of land out there on Jack Tone Road to go all the way out and do commercial this and this and that. But that corridor, it could be leveled. It could, I'm gonna have to make a statement here that that corridor there would be a nice flow. If you could flow it in and go that commercial, that's my gut feeling. And guess what? I sell insurance for a living, so I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to, that's why we hired these people. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Nutt.
Yeah, one thing I'd like for everybody here to understand is the process that we're going through and why. You know, we went through a spell where we were just reaching in, checking everything, keeping our head above water when everything took a nosedive. And that lasted for a while. And it's still kind of going on in some areas, including here. So we were concentrating there for a few years on just maintaining and getting by until things picked up and started uphill. Well, when that kind of got close to that, which was not too long ago, people started coming around kicking the tires around here about doing things. And my views on that was, and still is, we put that vehicle in a garage and kind of let it sit there and forgot about it for a while. Now that this is starting, we need to take it out and check the tires, make sure it'll take us where we want it to go. And basically, that's why we're going through this process. Things have changed also out there. What the ideas we had probably 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that's changing, and it does that. It's a process that has happened to Ripon since I come here when the population was 1,700. And it's our responsibility as a council to make sure whatever is done in this community, and especially out there, make sure it's right, because you only get one chance to get it right. I personally am not against any project out there that's been proposed, that might be proposed, but I'm all for the process we're going through to make sure that we get it right. And that's why we're having these meetings, to get input from you folks that also have concerns, and probably a lot more than I do as an individual invested out there in property. So that's what we're doing here. We're not trying to stop anybody from doing anything. All we're trying to do is make sure that what we allow to happen out there is right for this community.
Councilmember Parks?
I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. This is by far the most people we've had in this chambers in a long while that didn't involve high school students. So thank everybody for showing up, especially on a Monday afternoon or Monday evening. This is a very, very tough process because there's a lot of different participants involved and a lot of different stakeholders, and we're just trying to make sure that we get everybody's opinion on what they want done with this land, especially the landowners. But this is the most important project that we will do in 25, 30, 35 years in this town. What we do with this project will set us up for success in the future. Many of you are business owners and have remembered the last 5, 6 years and the tough economic times that have hit not only your businesses, but cities, but everybody. And so the decisions we make with this property will affect us going forward in the future. It will affect our ability to adequately fund the police. It will affect our ability to adequately run the city. What we do with this property or this section of land will affect the school districts. Right now our school districts are already running at max capacity. You know, this decision will affect the fire departments. It will affect everybody out there in every facet of their life that chooses to live in Ripon or come to this town. And so, as Vice Mayor Nutt said, we get one shot at this thing, and only one shot. And once you do it, you can't go back. So I just want to pick up on something Planning Commissioner Collins said that I think is spot on, and I think is a lot of the reasons people move to this community, and that is the intermixing of low-income housing with homes that are medium and homes that are high. I think that's where you get your communities that are the most cohesive, where you get those mixing of backgrounds, those mixing of cultures, those mixings of socioeconomic statuses that really do help make for a solid community. You're not just moving everybody into one side of town. Having been to Modesto, having been to Stockton, I think that's where some of the issues that they run into is when they've got everybody in one group in one section of town. And then I think that there's an important distinction to be made, and that is that not all of the development that's going to go on over there, at least in my opinion and in my mind, should be retail. We have a tremendous agriculture sector here, and you look at it in the valley, ag is what we do. We do ag. It is the most profitable economic sector in the state of California. And it's not Hollywood, it's not the Silicon Valley, it's ag. And so I think it's important that we recognize that for Ripon, and it's recognized that that's who we are. I know a couple of the landowners, their families have been involved in ag for, 50 years, 75 years, you know, however long they've been around. And I think it's important that we incorporate those interests into what we do. So I think that's just a big distinction that needs to be made. You know, when people hear development, they automatically hear retail, they hear hamburger joints, they hear some of those other things. But for us to be sustainable as a community going forward, I think we've got to incorporate some of those sectors, because that's where our high-paying jobs are. And that, you know, those are going to be the jobs that people my age and some of the target markets that you guys are looking at, those are going to be the areas that they're going to succeed economically. So I think that those are just some big distinctions that need to be made. So, and that just and that this is a process, and as everybody has experienced with the government, it doesn't always move at lightning speed. So it's just important to be patient and persistent, and that we'll get it done, and it'll be right. So thank you.
Councilmember Zuber.
Being fourth in line, good and bad, I don't disagree with anything that anybody said before, and I also don't feel like I need to repeat it, so I'm not going to. I do believe in this process. I think it's a necessary process for reasons that were stated before. And in the time that I've been on this council, I also very strongly believe that this is not going to be a quote-unquote political process. This is a process that the five of us have agreed we need to do, and we're going to make sure that it's done well. We took time to pick the people to do it because we have to live with the results. You have to live with the results. And as Jake said, our commitment is to try to get this done right. And that's what I think we'll do. I do have one question for the consultants to kind of clear one thing up for me. When this is done and we have a specific plan, will it be down to the point of parcels or areas or whatever being zoned? In other words, one of the discussions we've had a couple of times has to do with city standards relative to streets and relative to storm drains and all that. And a lot of that is part of the zoning process. If you're zoned one way, here's the standards. If you're zoned a different way, here's another standard. In this specific plan, will there be zoning as part of the final product that will begin to define that? That's just a question that I have.
Is it working? Oh.
The purpose of a specific plan is to essentially bridge the difference between the general plan, which is very conceptual, and the zoning map and zoning ordinance, which is very specific. And so it's a plan that's intended to reinforce the general plan, and with changes that the council and the community would like to see. And so it's in between a specific, the zoning and the general plan. And I think that the plan that you have here is more of at the level of a PUD development plan, so which is essentially zoning. So the specific plan it's a text that may be up to 100 pages or so in length, and its purpose is to cover what the future land uses would be for the area and the circulation, and then also to have taken into careful consideration the other infrastructure or public utilities, so that that's coordinated. And then there's also a section or chapter having to do with implementing the plan and how it will be financed. So in the end, what you have is a document, which is the specific plan, with a lot of graphics in it. There's a land use plan that would be, we don't really have one that shows that's similar to that, but a land use plan that has some detail and a lot of graphics that go along with it. So you can pick that up, a property owner, a developer can pick that up and after reading it say, yeah, I really do have a sense as what the city would like to have out there as far as their land use and where the streets need to go, and the character of it too. There'll be a design component to this plan that will give a sense, a feeling as to the kind of architectural design that the city would like to see, and a landscape concept as well. So a developer really does have a better sense as to what it is you want to accomplish. Is that a long answer to a short question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, having heard everybody speak, I would repeat a couple things. First, I would thank everybody for coming this evening and sharing your thoughts in regards to the future of this city. And as was said earlier, we're not just talking about the next 5 or 10 years. We're talking about the next, probably most of us won't be around when this thing is finalized.
Speak for yourself.
Red's immortal. I agree. I was mistaken on that part. The thing, and I guess as Councilmember Zuber alluded to, and some of the others, is that this is not a political process. There's been a lot of discussion in regards to why the council took this direction and why are we doing this specific plan when there's a lot of other alternatives, I guess, that are available. And I would first say that this is not a political body. I've been on the council almost 12 years, and during those 12 years, I can say, for the most part, it's never been political. It's always been council members who've wanted to do what's best for Ripon. The second part is that, you know, there's a lot of things that we as council members deal with that don't necessarily get folded into this particular project or discussion. And so we're looking at a whole host of issues simultaneously. And so just to kind of share some of the give and take that this council's had with staff and with each other, there's been a lot of debate in many ways, exactly the same issues that you've raised during your comments. First, there is a state requirement. It's called the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. And every city and every county within the state of California is given a set of numbers of how many houses at different levels of income levels that you need to build within your community. And I deal with that as representing the city of Ripon on the San Joaquin Council of Governments. And it is, the last one was 7, the next one I think is 10 years projected out on how many houses. The numbers are just totally absurd. They aren't even close to what we would be capable of doing during the height of the building process. I think it's 3,600, something like that, over the next 10 years. And when we were building houses right and left, and we had our permits projected out almost 6 years committed, we were probably doing 125 to maybe at most 150 a year. And so what you have is you have a state or a government bureaucracy that is pushing cities to build, and with the goal in mind that I think a lot of us have talked about here, more affordable housing, housing that our children and our grandchildren can buy and live in. So we have that. Then we have the certified housing element in regards to enough housing for the lower incomes and the middle incomes and things like that. And that's another thing that we'll be dealing with as a council, to be our housing element is certified by the state. So that deals with some of the issues that you've raised here in regards to these particular, the Meadowwood development, for example. And as Ken, as our planning director, has reminded us on the council that we need to do something in regards to building more affordable housing for lower income families. So we're dealing with that. At the same time, we're dealing with, obviously, increasing the revenue, because when we have more revenue, we have more opportunities to build more things, to provide more services, to make this a safer, a more enjoyable community, more attractive, and those types of things. And so when we look at the Jacktone area, that particular area currently generates probably close to 72% of the revenue in the entire city in one location. So in some respects, it's a gold mine for this city in regards to paying for our services, the infrastructure, and the things that we do on a daily basis for the residents. So we want to make sure that this particular opportunity to develop or to focus on areas that are available to build on, that we maximize the use, because once they're up, they're going to stay up probably long past, with the exception of Red, most of us here. And so we want to do it right, and that's been talked about. some of the things that go beyond the city limits of Ripon that we have to address, and I think Mr. Ray touched upon Silicon Valley. I participate and represent the city on the San Joaquin Partnership, and the San Joaquin Partnership is working very closely with businesses in the Silicon Valley to really attract more business this way over the Altamont, because we have a tremendous number, probably, I don't know, 56,000 commuters on a daily basis just out of this county alone going over the hill. And a lot of those individuals have all the talent and all the education that's needed for a Silicon Valley business to locate here. And I won't go into all the details, but Silicon Valley is going to a point where they're really getting cramped, restricted, costs are going up and all types of things. And to add to that, we have companies from outside the United States that are coming here visiting, looking at the San Joaquin Valley for places to locate. And most of these firms are technological firms. So we as a city, have to provide at least opportunities for any businesses that want to come here to provide jobs for our residents, so they don't have to drive over the hill every day to go to a job, because that's the closest place that it's available. So we're dealing with that also. And then going back to the first project, that seems everybody thinks is driving this specific plan. It's really all these things that are driving the council's decision. But one of the things, when we first looked at the Meadowwood project, I'm not sure it was, but anyway, whatever it was called, the question I had, and I think some of the council members, was that across the street on Fulton, there were all these residents, and I think that those houses probably went for $600,000 when the peak of the housing boom. But you have residents over there, and they're looking across Fulton, and they're looking at what? A strip mall, industrial, welding shops, things like that. I don't think if I lived there, I don't think I'd want that. So the council looked at it and said, wait a minute. And of course, that particular proposal did have housing across the street, which gave a transition so that you didn't have that ugly industrial, complex across the street. Well, one thing led to another, and as we started looking at it, Bernie, I don't know his last name, but when you talk about the Camps property, I've been on this council 12 years, and I'll tell you, we've talked about almost every year about, trying to attract somebody to come in there and buy that land, because the cost of the infrastructure hooking up to city facilities is going to be enormous. And it can't be just a small project. It's going to have to be a bigger project. And we are working to some extent with the city of Manteca, trying to provide some infrastructure to facilitate that, to make it more attractive and less costly to develop that area with commercial or retail or whatever it happens to be. So those are things that we as a council deal with constantly. The sports complex, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to go out and look at the sports complex with the new softball diamonds. It's a beautiful facility. Go over there at night and see the lights. Everybody raves, and I have nothing against it. I think the Big League of Dreams in Manteca is great. It's fantastic. But go look at Ripon Misslands Park. It is a beautiful facility. I mean, it just shines. And so as we continue, and we have a lot of property available to expand that facility with other types of activities or sports, the question is that, so if that continues to grow, and I wish the recreational director were here, but we get a lot of interest, and we're booking more and more events, whether it be soccer or softball or baseball or whatever. So that facility is generating a lot of interest for future tournaments, future growth, and of course, customers coming in to the city. And one of the things that I liked in this presentation, or at least proposal, is one of the things that we're sorely in need of are hotels. We don't have enough rooms. Where do they go? They go to Manteca. They even go to Turlock. They go everywhere for these tournaments. So we need to develop some of these, and I know there's been a couple of companies that have been interested. So again, that goes with some of the things we're looking at in this particular project to facilitate our sports complex, provide more eating areas. And the other thing that they're trying to do is we're trying to connect the sports complex with our other businesses within the city, so it's not just the businesses at Jack Tone, nothing wrong with that, but certainly there are other places to eat here, nice restaurants, et cetera, that they can go to if they're going to spend the night or the weekend, et cetera. So we're trying to work that side of it and balance the different needs. The one thing that I think was touched upon with Councilmember Parks, the affordable housing program in Ripon is called inclusionary, and as opposed to exclusionary. And the exclusionary, which was talked about, is where you take a particular development and the entire development is, say, low-income housing. And unfortunately, what happens is within 5 years, it's full of crime. It's a lot of rentals. There's a whole host of things that happen. And one of the things that I think we miss, or at least sometimes we miss in regards to our affordable housing program, is that we require every development, no matter what the cost of the homes, up to $1 million homes, every development has to have 10% affordable houses. And they have to look the same as the rest of the houses on the block. Well, I know sometimes developers don't like that because they end up subsidizing that cost to some extent. But on the other side of it, if you look at it this, are we in the business of just achieving the goal of a formula, or really in the process of achieving the success of that family? And that's family living in that neighborhood, taking care of their grass and their lawn and having their children go to the schools with their neighborhood, et cetera. It raises the whole family. It's not just putting them over there and saying, okay, we've met our quota. It's a matter of making them, their future, better. And I think we've done a tremendous job. And you can drive around this city, and I don't think any of you can point out an affordable house in any development, I don't care which it is. And I think that says a lot for previous councils, the Planning Commission, et cetera. So all these things taken together, we are trying as a council to balance all these and make sure, as I'm sure all of you here tonight are trying to make Ripon a better community, period. We may have different ideas or directions or thoughts on how to do it. And this is why this workshop tonight and the 2 more that we'll have after this. And if you want to make comments, you know, in the interim or whatever, feel free, because when this council in the future makes their final decision, I am 100% sure that would be the best decision for all of us as residents here. And that's the confidence I have, although I won't be on the council, but that's the confidence I have on the current council members and whoever's in the future. So I think we're trying to do the best. You know, you talk about your commercial operation on Colony, and everything that you talked about tonight, we will try to address one way or the other. Now, I will just tell you this, and it goes back to and I think everybody here has been a supervisor at one time or the other, or been in a leadership position, including the planning commissioners. There is inevitably going to be somebody disappointed with the final outcome. But I will tell you this, that with all of your input, with all the council's input, and the planning commission's input, and the staff input, there's no doubt in my mind that whatever comes out of this project is going to be something that will just knock your socks off, literally. And I'm proud of this council, I'm proud of the staff, I'm proud of our residents, and I think we have an opportunity to do something really great. So this isn't about one project or development. This is about way beyond the project itself, Jacktone and north of the truck stop, et cetera. So we have all those competing interests. And again, I thank all of you here. I thank the planning commissioners, the staff, and the city council, and certainly our consultants for bringing this together for this discussion, and I look forward to discussions in the future. Thank you.
Normally I summarize the input, but I can't follow that after I summarize the input from tonight. So I want to remind folks that your comment cards in back, and make sure you sign in so that you'll be definitely know that you're contacting in the future events. So we're going to have a booth on Main Street Days, October 18th, to sort of make sure the community at large knows about this process. We'll have a community workshop on October 30th, and there'll be another one to follow that date to be determined. This is the beginning of a process. I personally am very impressed with sort of all heartfelt comments tonight. You don't always hear that in communities, and it's very striking, and I appreciate that. With that said, thank you for coming. As I said, we'll linger